Hello, um, my name's Frankie. This is one of my first videos like this. Anyway, the purpose, why am I making this video? The reason I'm making this video is more or less to get my thoughts. It's an exercise to see what will happen if I can sort of consolidate my thoughts that are swimming around that haven't really been processed fully, and I'm afraid that if I don't do something like this video, which will enable a sort of more or less a broad condensation or a distillation, whatever the word is, who gives a shit. Imagine a distillation of my present state of multiple concerns in digital form. So this is basically an artifact. I'm creating an artifact. So I'm just going to go with my stream of consciousness more or less in an attempt to get all of the pressing shit that's jumping out at me at least mentioned here. So I can go through and maybe summarize, find bullet points, see patterns that I may not be able to see in real time. I'm a very introspective person, I think. I mean, I'm almost certain of that. Relative to most people, I'm more introspective. I would hedge a bet on that one. And that's not just due to all the weed I partake in. Today, just Delta 8. Actually, lately, I've been really enjoying Delta 8. Now, another reason this video is going to be interesting for me, and I guess you, whoever you are, maybe, is to examine how quickly I go on tangents. Now, I should mention my mental state. Today I took kratom. I took one OPMS black capsule and one OPMS black liquid shot about 2 hours ago. I took 500 milligrams of D and L phenylalanine, which are good supplements to take if you're doing opiates or withdrawing from opiates. The L phenylalanine is, it's an amino acid. It's one of the forms that the body uses, the L forms. And then, that's a tyrosine precursor. So, and interestingly enough, I did bromantane a few days ago, so my tyrosine hydroxylase should be higher in a lot of tissue or whatever. And as a result, as long as the enzyme that converts phenylalanine to tyrosine, which amino acid, I don't know what it is actually. I'm trying to think what's the difference between tyrosine. I think, I don't know. I know that tyrosine gets a couple of hydroxyl groups, and then it becomes dopamine beta hydroxylase. Yeah, that's the enzyme that converts dopamine to noradrenaline. Okay, so beta hydroxylase. Alright, and that's the one that's inhibited by beta alanine. I wonder if there's a beta. I wonder what that beta is referring to. I know typically alpha carbon, beta carbon. Or, yeah, so it has to do with, on the phenyl ring, the position where it's either alpha or beta, or I don't know, para, I don't fucking know, but either way, it's a phenyl ring. They're putting a hydroxyl group on. Oh no, hydroxylase mean they're cleaving it. Right? I don't know. Huh. Overall, my anxiety has gone like significantly down. a lot of that is due to naltrexone, and it's good. We're at the 5-minute mark now, so I can start talking seriously. So naltrexone, before, I didn't really know too much about it. I had heard about this stuff called low-dose naltrexone a few years ago. So, I've been in multiple treatment centers and all that, and I've been an opiate addict and polysubstance addict, I suppose. DSM-5 calls it substance use disorder or whatever. Who gives a shit? Basically, it just means I'm attracted to quick fixes, like most of us, and I run with it. Maybe a little easier than most people would. We can get into various reasons for that, but I already lost my train of thought. So this is the problem making a video. I should have like little notes first so I can remember what fuck I was. Oh yeah, naltrexone. Okay, so let me talk about naltrexone. So naltrexone is one of the things that they'll give to opiate users as a way to help them stay abstinent. Now, the unique thing about naltrexone that's so appealing is that it sits on the opiate receptor with pretty high affinity, so it's hard to displace, meaning you'd have to take a fuck ton of another opiate trying to get high to knock the naltrexone off. And at that point, it's likely that it would be too high of a dose. So once it got knocked, I'm not sure actually, that's a pharmacokinetics, or pharmacokinetics, that's a biochemistry subject I don't know enough about, but I'm pretty sure it's very easy to overdose if you attempt to get past a naltrexone blockade. So anyway, it sits on the mu opioid receptor, and it is an antagonist. So it sits there, and at that point it shuts off downstream signaling. The mu opioid receptor, like all opioid receptors, are G protein coupled receptors, which are sesquiterpene, meaning it's a transmembrane protein, subprotein, a bunch of amino acids linked together, folded up, blah, blah, blah. Goes through 7 separate, 7. Yeah, so 1 on the outside, extracellular, 2 intracellular, 3 extracellular, and so on until 7. So anyway, naltrexone, so they give it to you, and I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? Like, I can see why people would want that, but then you have to wonder, well, why wouldn't it be important if evolution and the human body, and we see how powerful opiates are, has conserved the opioids being active, produced, and operant in a non-antagonized state for millennia, right? So it's obviously pretty fucking important. So I just feel it's so unenlightened and just scary when you think about how little people truly understand about what they're doing. As far as altering, your chemistry. To just slap an antagonist on there, like, of your opioid receptor. This is your reward, your joy, your relief from pain system, more or less. But, everything kind of overlaps in the brain. It's really complicated because, dopamine, it's the dopaminergic system, you could say, is joy and relief from pain in a sense. And then people are like, well, what's the difference between the opioid and the dopamine? Aren't they the same? And, it's very complicated. Serotonin, norepinephrine, adrenaline, glutamate. Glutamate's one that I think is fascinating, and the more I learn about it, the more I learn about any of this stuff, the more I realize how little anyone knows about this. Like, I'm 30 years old. Like, I thought when I was a kid that, there were experts out there that knew this shit, that knew something, that really actually understood things. Like, because how could you justify so many of the medical things and, the money behind it too? How can you justify all that without having an actual explanation of what's going on? And what they do is they just know enough fancy words and shit to trick you into thinking that they know what they're talking about. And that way they can have conversations sort of like inside lingo among themselves, you know, like how Wall Street people talk about Wall Street shit, and normal people just stand there like, sounds like a bunch of words and sounds smart, but it's like that. Basically, it creates an insiders club for people just to bullshit. And, you know, it's basically like bro science, man. It's bro science, except with Indian psychiatry, so they're all stiff and they're afraid to be humor. They're afraid to show humor, you know, that's all uptight. I don't know. Oh, Michelle Obama added to their story. Cool. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons I didn't want to get on Naltrexone. Anyway, apparently there's this idea, and it's been working for a long time. You know, I'm actually so tired of summarizing this. I've been talking about this for days. I am waiting for an email back from a doctor about Naltrexone. He did a study a couple of years ago, and I've listened to a podcast of his for a Naltrexone Society, or, you know, like a research fellowship or whatever. And he seemed to be like he was on the track of actually elucidating some of like the mechanisms of why the lower dose of naltrexone might be a good idea compared to the standard dose that the pharmacies, you know, pharmaceutical companies are using as an anti-addict drug. Whereas I think the true therapeutic of potential of naltrexone really lies in its utility in the microgram, nanogram, and low milligram range. So yeah, I guess I'll consider this a hybrid of a blog, a exposition on naltrexone. I kind of feel like I'm a crusader for it. I want to become a crusader. I want to learn more about it. I want to know why a drug that is so cheap, because the dose you need, even 150 milligram pill and you're set. I took this shit, and all of a sudden my opiate withdrawal that I've been suffering from for years and years and years, because I've been chronically using opiates, my brain has chronically been dependent on them, and I'm a bitchy, irritable, whiny, sad, depressed, angry man most of the time, and this shit saved me. It fucking saved my life. I feel like I'm reborn. I keep saying that, but I literally feel reborn. My mental, my spirits are just shifted. I'm hopeful and glad, and I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. I feel like I can handle it, and I'm excited, and I'm having a good time, and I'm just so relieved that something worked, because I thought I was gonna have to just suffer for until my brain fixed itself, if it ever did. I thought I was gonna be. I was actually considering suicide. I'll be really honest with you, because I'm so tired of losing what little relationships I have. The relationships I have are so rocky already, and you know, being in this opiated withdrawal state is not good for relationships, especially if you're not working, and you know, if I'm not beating myself up, like, you know, there's a lot of pressure, basically, is what I'm trying to say, and this naltrexone, I think, is it just came through and reduced the pressure by like 75%. My life it's like all my total suffering, if you could, you know, quantify my daily suffering, naltrexone has reduced my total suffering load by 75+%, actually, now that I think about it. Overall fear, unwillingness, amotivation, it's fixing a lot. Social things, I'm talking to my family again. I talked to my aunt I haven't talked to in 10 years. I'm more willing to be vulnerable because I don't feel so attacked by the world all the time, because my nerves aren't on fire, you know, like I feel like love for my cat, my you know, my girlfriend. This should be used, every single opiate addict should have the option and the knowledge that I have regarding this, because it's going to a lot of friends that I've had throughout the years, including very close intimate friends. If this shit was out back then, they'd probably be alive. You know, it's just a fact. Anyway, I'm gonna put this on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe someone will check it out. But really, like, naltrexone. If anyone, if anyone watching this or whatever, like, has any ways I can find out what's going on. Where's the current state? Where's the cutting edge on research on naltrexone? Where are we? Where's the status? What are the leading experts on it saying? What's expected? There was a medication a while ago that was going to be oxycodone combined with 1 microgram of naltrexone, which is a dose range that you would consider ULDN, ultra low dose naltrexone, and I don't know. I wonder why it was discontinued. They had some sort of issue in like the phase 2 or some shit, but it works, man. You won't build a tolerance. It. I don't want to talk about the whole thing right now, but I have information, so much of it. I could literally talk for 20 minutes about it. Of actual information, by the way. I'm sorry. I know I go on tangents. Anyway, this has been fun. It's been awkward. This has been interesting. I'm ashamed of myself, and I hope that the next video gets better. Love you all. I don't really have any viewers. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm a little grandiose, maybe. My brother mentioned I'm probably getting a little manic. Yeah, he's right. But I am. I'm pretty high on weed and Monster Energy and shit like that. So if I wasn't, I'd be chill. I'd be fun. I'm having fun. Whatever. Meditation would be a good idea. Okay, I'm gonna stop.